It's a huge one, as we all know. Great game against a great opponent back at home here. So really looking forward to it. The last time we played these guys, there's a lot of back and forth. They started off hot, then we were able to respond there second quarter and third quarter, and then came down to the wire. So good team, great defense, really well coached, great players all across the board, and looking forward to this opportunity.
Call it perfect or anything, but the consistency of your offense in terms of point production has taken a pretty big step forward this year. You know, what would you say has been the key to kind of getting that consistency that all coaches covet?
I don't know if I always feel the same way that you do by saying that. I mean, we've had a number of 20-point games that we felt like as a coaching staff and players that there was more out there to be had. So I would say the last probably 4 or 5 games we've been playing more consistent football, less 3 and outs. That's really where I gauge it more off of is, are we able to move the ball? Not everything's going to be perfect every week or every series or every play, but we've had guys stepping up, and when it's not perfect, they're over there making it right. So J-Mo's one of those guys. St. Brown's one of those guys. Gibby's one of those guys. We had a play last week where trying to do a little misdirection, in the end didn't take the cheese and should have been a tackle for loss, and then next thing you know, Gibby's crossing court and going the other direction and makes it a positive play. So I think that has a lot to do with it. These guys are going out, they're playing confident football, and they're playing really well right now. Yeah, Jared got a nice one. That helps his PFF grade, I think.
Just coaching J-Mo, you're such a precision guy. Like, everything's got to be perfect, and J-Mo sometimes is a wild card out there, and it makes him fun to watch. But like, how long did it take you to kind of form that relationship to get on the same page with him on your demands, the precision you demand on the field?
Yeah, it's been a learning experience for everybody. I think since he got in the building here, it's been all of us coaches, Coach Campbell, myself, all of us have been on board trying to have him understand the expectation and what we really need, what Jared needs, what the O-line needs, what we all need for this whole thing to work. And it's taken a little bit of time, but it's really taken off now at this point. He's very detailed. Very smart, and that might go unnoticed, but you say something to him and you coach him, and it hits him. He understands it, and so I think because he's so smart, he's able to really grasp what we're trying to do, and it's just a matter of getting him all the reps and all the looks, and he's been really good here second half of the season.
We all enjoyed watching the matchup between you and Brian Flores, but as you continue to kind of have more of them, how does that change, I guess, the game theory that goes on with the play calling and trying to beat his tendencies and his yours?
Yeah, no, he does a great job. He does a great job. It's each week you try to find a weakness in the armor and look to attack it, and this defense it just doesn't have much, and it's been that way for 2 years now. You can tell that this whole unit, they've been together, they've been playing in this scheme, they have the answers, they know when they get hit with something, how to respond. He always has a curveball every week. I think Matt LaFleur said last week they weren't anticipating quite as much man as they got there early in the game and had to make some adjustments. So there's no question, as a coaching staff, all of us, we have to be on our P's and Q's and just make sure we're able to respond if he's hitting it with something that we weren't necessarily prepared for.
Brian, I mean, I know you guys were almost cross paths in Miami, or maybe he didn't retain you. I don't know the full story there, but is there any, when you play a guy like that you...
Yeah, listen, I knew of him because he's a Boston College guy, and that's where I did my GA spot. And, of course, he's in New England, and we faced across the sideline there for a number of years. But I didn't get to know him. I met him at the Combine a couple years ago. Seems like a great guy, has a great reputation. When he took that job in Miami, he had a staff already in his head with who he wanted, so I was let go, and that was that.
Over the last 2 seasons, Dan Skipper has found an interesting role in this offense as the 6th offensive lineman, jumbo tight end, now catching passes from time to time. When did you realize you had something in him? Because I know he's bounced around the league a bit. Was there a certain point that you realized, and is there anything about him that makes you trust him in those situations?
Yeah, this goes back to the pre-Campbell days, because Dan's been in and out for a number of years here. He brings all that energy and enthusiasm to the practice field every day. He only knows green light, red light. It's stop or go, and that's what you're going to get from him. So when you see a guy that practices that way and he loves the game like he does, once we got him on the roster, we knew we wanted to get him out on the field because we know what he's going to bring to the table. He's one of those glue guys. We have a number of those guys on this team that fly under the radar a little bit, but they play critical roles for us, and he certainly does that.
After your decision to come back last year, just the lack of control of what people say about you, being in the media, and how difficult that is. It's the same thing right now. You got contrary reports, saying one thing about you, another thing about you at the same place. Like, how do you drown that all out? Because I'm sure it all gets funneled up to you, sent to you through different channels.
This is exactly where I need to be right now. And I think I've talked about it before. There's an obligation to the people in this building, and I'm going to honor that obligation. It's nothing but the Minnesota Vikings right now.
It's a follow-up question about Jameson Williams. Dan said at the beginning of the year, the goal for him was to kind of be a reliable number two, trustworthy. Just from your perspective, then, from what you see about his development, how can he get potentially to be considered like a number one in the category, like a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, based on what you can see from his development?
Yeah, he certainly has that ability. Obviously, his superpower is his speed, and that's shown up every game. Every game, we're looking to create space for him and get the ball in his hands so that he can have run after catch or get over the top of the defense. And what we've seen from training camp until now is other parts of the game develop, have a lot more trust in his route tree that's really grown over the course of the season. We try to challenge him with some new things every week that maybe he hasn't done quite yet. And I'm really excited to see how that expands. A full off season of spring training camp, healthy, no outside noise would continue his development in a good way.
We spoke about Gibbs, maybe less carries last week, and you still got more yards out of him, and you get 66 yards out of Craig Reynolds and 9 touches. Just how has that evolved in the 2 games without David Montgomery, and is that kind of what you envisioned last week?
Yeah. Both those guys have done a great job for us. Jefferson got some burn too, and same with Vaki. We really like that rotation right now, and honestly, it hasn't really changed how we approach the run game in terms of schematics. We felt all year long that Gibby and Demo are equally successful doing the same things, and that really hasn't changed our mindset the last couple games. So hopefully we can continue that trend, and both those guys play big roles for us, Craig and Gibby.
Maybe to piggyback on that, have you noticed with Gibbs carrying more of the load, have defenses changed at all, the way they attack you? Because he is a little bit more dangerous in the pass game.
Yeah, I have not seen that, maybe. Yeah, I have not seen that quite as much. Each week we do something a little bit different with them, maybe from the backfield or extend them out wide, but that's kind of been the theme all year long. But didn't see anything from San Fran that was anything different than we expected.
Going back to before he got here, I mean, Jared's kind of the narrative around him was that he wasn't good under pressure. It had to be perfect, but he was, in the Week 7 game against the Vikings was 10 of 11 for 102, I think, or 164 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, how much is it him and how much is it your play design against, pressure and also his connection with Amon, as a hot receiver?
Listen, the guy was the number 1 pick for a reason. He's been super talented throwing the football, and here he is entering year 9, and he's got all these banked reps from LA and now Detroit, and they all add up. And so the defense is moving slower. He knows where his eyes need to go. He knows what he's trying to do. We're really aggressive at times with what we put on his plate, and he doesn't bat an eye, and really he embraces it. He came in this morning and he's like, hey, load me up. I'm ready to go. So that's what we try to do, and it's a credit to him that he really wants to be able to control all that. He's playing so well post-snap, and you guys are seeing that there's not enough appreciation for what he does before the snap with the cadence, the motions, the shifts, the premier plays that we try to get into at times, and that's what really, I think, makes our offense special.
How much is it on though with neutralizer? Just being able to have that option there. I mean, in that game, and he was targeted the most. He had 8 targets, and the 100
Yeah.
and the 35-yard touchdown where they ran like that cover 0 look, and you know, or you
Yeah.
send 6 guys after.
Yeah, I mean, the stress obviously is on the unit up front, the O-line, the running backs. When we face a team like this, I think the big completion to Saint that you're talking about, Panay had a hell of a block on that one. So really, as long as we can buy him enough time, he's doing a nice job finding those outlets, and Saint has found a way to be that guy over the last couple of years. So it'll take all hands on deck, though, with this crew. I know he'll throw something at us that we haven't seen.
You talked about with JMO, and it kind of piggybacks what you just talked about with Jared. The intelligence of this offense, we can see the runs and the athleticism. How important is the intelligence from the offensive line to everybody being on the same page, to you guys throwing a bunch on them? It seems like that's an underrated aspect of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and listen, we do it because we can. You know, like that's why this offense is the way it is because we have smart players. We have a veteran offensive line that's played a lot of ball. We have a quarterback that can handle a lot on his plate, and we've got good, smart perimeter guys that are willing to block and do all the dirty work and prepare during the course of the week. And so, I mean, I'm so fortunate as a coordinator because when you have that now, you know, you take the governor off and you can do almost anything that you want to do. And it's not like that every place. I know I've been a number of places, a number of different offenses and coordinators, and we just couldn't push it to this level. And as a credit to the guys, it has nothing to do with us as a coaching staff, but we'll push it as long as we think it's sound and it can help them out. We'll push it to the limit.
A little bit about Sam early in the season, just kind of the sluggish start. You know, he had the injury camp. Last 4 games, his 4 highest target totals of the year. What's clicking for him and you in the offense right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to go back at the end of the year and look at why it didn't click sooner. I really felt like early in the year we were going to have some of the games that he's had over the last few. I know he's feeling as healthy as he has all year long. He's playing confident football right now. I know Jared has a lot of faith in him. I certainly felt that way earlier in the year too. So I can't tell you why it's different now than it was before, but we've always seen him as an integral part of what we do in the past